And we are live.
Awesome. Welcome to IFB, Interfleet Broadcasting. I'm New York Pete, and this is my buddy, co-producer, co-host, Chris.
Howdy. I am Chris Moore, also known as the Tipsy Toaster. And we are glad you joined us tonight here at Interfleet Broadcasting. We've swung by planet Earth one more time. Every Thursday we come by, give you a little broadcast, and then back off out into space again to shoot down colonial vipers.
And destroy base stars. And remember, everybody, we focus on news and entertainment with a slant towards 70s and 80s sci-fi TV and movies from two guys that grew up watching the original Battlestar Galactica in 1978 and all the great Glenn Larson productions and everything else that comes with that. And of course, we always try to bring a modern slant on things as well. So we have select choices, and we branch out into comic books and all kinds of other collectibles. And Chris and I, we visit comic book stores, and we're going to head out to conventions soon enough. But before we get into any more, Chris, let's do our customary toast to everyone.
Well, before we do our toast, we have to pour. So tonight is we found a special beer. So I'll let Pete show it while I talk about it.
Let's see.
Center, Pete, center. Go to the center.
Center.
There you go. Move it up.
There you
go.
Center where I'm taking down Cylon.
That's it. So we have a really cool name. It's called the Sci-Fi Hamster Wheel, or should I do that as
Sci-Fi Hamster Wheel?
No, you gotta do it with the squeaky voice, man.
A squeaky voice?
Come on. What's the matter with you?
Sci-Fi Hamster Wheel.
That's right, because they're hamsters.
It's an IPA with 6.6% alcohol, so Pete will be asleep by 15 minutes.
Yeah, 12.
It is brewed by Thin Man Brewery in Buffalo, New York. And I happened to run across this one. What?
Whoever's watching and listening, for the record, we pick these up on our own.
Yes, no, they don't give us anything.
Shopping every once in a while, and when we see any of these sci-fi type beers, we just pick them up because they look cool and sounds cool. So, but we didn't get any of these. No promotion or nothing. We paid for these ourselves, right, Chris?
Yep, that's it.
Right.
So here we go. Let's do the old.
Okay.
Let's see how much pressure's in it.
Okay.
That one has a good pressure. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you a little foamy, not too bad.
Super foamy. Whoa. Uh-oh. There's going to be an accident here. Oh, yeah, super foamy.
It smells citrusy.
What do you think? It does.
Yeah. So,
yeah, it's good. All right.
With that said, we want to drink, so we have to do a toast first. Once again, I'll say the first part, and I'll let Pete do the second part tonight, but we're happy you're here, and we always do a toast to all of our fans out there, and we always say...
Fans fuel the fleet.
Fans fuel the fleet. Thank you for joining us.
Here's to you guys.
Yeah, foamy mustache.
All right. Yes. Not bad at all. All right. So, Chris, we have a whole bunch of cool stuff going on.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring this up. Look, I got this, the New England Comic and Toy Digest, an actual newspaper that's printed and distributed for free to comic book stors. I don't think we've seen one of these yet, so I thought that was kind of cool. And this came my way, and I reached out. So I don't know, we may have a connection. We'll see. But in the meantime, July 4th is big time holiday, and Chris, I was able to get some really good deals on some cool comic books. So check this out. Boom.
That's cool. I love those. Is that little?
Yeah.
That's little It sounds like I'm saying little, but I'm saying little Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
Cylon looks pretty cool. Ooh, the shadow.
Could be a dead show. Oh, yeah.
No one knows, but the...
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. That's right. Check this out, Chris.
Shadow knows.
There we go. There we go.
That's a good
That's
one.
nice. That's Realm, right?
That's Maximum Press.
Maximum Press. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and I got these.
Maximum's got that. The Maximum Press Battlestar Galactica's got that. I'm going to say it wrong. Manga
type look.
Manga type look. Ooh, virgin cover. Ooh.
Virgin cover. Bam.
Ooh. Oh, over the left.
Yeah.
Middle. You got to put it in the middle.
Put in the middle. I'll give you the middle. There you go.
There you go.
You just want to
Get
see
those
the Cylons.
Cylons. Yeah.
Yeah, this cover is beautiful. So this is from the classic Battlestar Galactica #1 incentive Dorman Virgin cover, and that was a real deep discount from.
Pete said virgin.
Yes, I'm gonna say it again. Classic Battlestar Galactica #2 incentive Virgin cover. Look at this. This is beautiful. Center it.
There you go. Oh wow, that looks like a Mayan type.
Yeah.
I wonder what the storyline is on that one. We'll have to take the storyline on that one. Yeah, the big
Look at that.
base star in the background.
Base star in the background. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I wonder what the storyline is on that one. We'll have to check that one out. See if that's
check that out.
because in the beginning, the Battlestar Galactica's got the Mayans and the. I'll be. You just hold that one closer for like 20 minutes. I'll be happy.
So it's a Virgin art cover, and it's Athena, right? Look at that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the. It's kind of the kind of a off take of the. Who is the Frazetta cover or Frazetta paintings?
Yeah,
kind of a nice
and then I got
homage to the Frazetta.
Got some of these.
That's a virgin cover for
shadow stuff.
Yeah.
Some virgin. Oh, this is a real cool one. Check this out.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never was much of a shadow fan. I'll have to look into those.
Yeah, you got to look into that. So anyway, guys, that's kind of like what I picked up. And again, I got those at 4th of July deep discount. And meanwhile, back at the Battlestar, John Repper's with us. Linda, so happy to have you. Rob's with us. Yes, Rob. Let's see, Ray Nelson, Razor Ramon, Mediocre Modeler. Yes, Mediocre Modelers, building and listening. Thanks, buddy. Oh, George, what's up, guys? What's up? And Lola, staying away from the Copacabana, but instead watching.
Her name is Lola. She was a showgirl.
And Chris. Hey, Chris, what's up, buddy?
I'm right here.
Scott, Laskowski.
Yeah, Chris.
Right?
Chris Laskowski. I talked to him. Man. He's got he's a great. Cool. I've lost that interview, Chris. I lost a hard drive a while back, and it evidently was on that thing. So we'll have to redo that interview, and I worked real hard on it too. I even put down you had done the. Throw me back on screen here. You did the stick and all of the stuff that you had for the Viper stick and then of course the rifle you had there, and I had taken all those photos, and it's gone. Yeah, it's gone, unfortunately. So
Scott, good evening to you, Scott. And let's see who else we got here. John, of course, John Repper, a toast or victory over the Cylons, absolutely 100%.
Chris is in.
Sean.
I don't know if you know, but Chris is in Australia.
Outstanding. Chris, you're number one, man. Let's see. Hey, Sean, what's up, buddy? We saved Battlestar bulletin board, right? We had a little bit of a situation, all handled, back better than ever. Charlene Donatello from Battlestar Saturn's with us. And yes, all right, James McLaughlin is watching as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So welcome to IFB, and we have a guest.
Yeah, wait. I got my show until time.
What do you got? Wait a minute. Whoa. What are you talking about?
So we've been gone. So I actually found something on eBay that I've been looking for, and I was bidding against this other person. I don't know who it was, and I I sniped him. I admit it. So at the end of the eBay auction,
Wait a minute.
I shot it out there and wait. Yeah, it's a really cool item. Hang on. It's
Wait a minute. Is this a Battlestar Galactica item?
Yeah. Yeah, here. I'll show it to you.
You were bidding on it?
Yeah, I was bidding on it, and I beat whoever it was. This thing's huge.
You did not. I was bidding on that. That was you. You sniped that away from me. Oh man!
I mean, this thing is
talk
big.
about an underhanded, Cylon, devilish move, man. That book, that should have been mine, man.
You didn't bid high enough. So this is
high enough.
This thing's huge. It's beautiful photos in there, and
that is cool.
I'll rub it in for sure. I mean, too bad somebody else didn't get it. Yeah, it's
me. That was me. You sniped it for me, man. So what is that? I gotta run everything by you. Anytime I get on eBay, I gotta get Chris bidding on.
We better let each other know, otherwise you're gonna be making money for somebody.
Yeah, no kidding. Lee Jacobson, hi, thanks for joining us. Oh boy, I can't believe you got the book, man. So we're gonna do, we got to do a nice little bit on the books.
Oh yeah, that book is huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really nice though, and it's all the artwork from the original Battlestar Galactica first run Marvel comics.
Yeah. The Walter Simpson Simonson. I always say Simpson.
Yeah, that book when it first came out was about $150.
Well, that's funny because I went to a store. Where was the last place I went? Denver. I went to a comic book store in Denver, and they had one up there. And it was on the top, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I said, let's see how much they want for it. I tried to buy something from every comic book store I go to, try to support them. This place was more of a Spencer's than it was a comic book store. It was okay. I mean, it had new comics, and that was about it. This is the only thing I saw was Battlestar Galactica in there. I said, let me give it a shot, and I picked it up, and there's no price on it. So I asked the guy behind the counter, and I said, how much is this? And the guy's like, let me call my boss and figure it out. I'm like, okay. And he calls his boss, and he says, he comes up on the phone, says, he hangs up the phone, says, how much? It's $2.50. I said,
$2.50?
$2.50? I said, no, like $250. I'm like, I'm just going to put that back up on the shelf because I can get that on eBay a whole lot cheaper. His exact words I told him.
You sniped it for me. The nerve of you.
That's the exact words. I'm like, I think there's one on eBay that I'm going to go ahead and bid on.
Yeah,
that's when I started bidding on it, and those colonials are too slow, so I smoked the colonial. I think somebody Ramon says the silent eBay sniper. Thank you, Ramon. You were correct. Yes.
Yeah, Karen Mercorella, I'm on now too. Thanks for joining us, and Lee Jacobson. Make sure I didn't miss you. Rob Baum says, wonder why Marvel never did a collected set of their Galactica comics. They did it for Star Wars. Great question. Who knows?
Yeah, no kidding.
That would be awesome. It really would.
It would be. I mean, I've got I'm missing 2 of the Marvel comics, which I thought I had them all, but I didn't. So I'll be bidding against you for those.
Yeah, we'll see about that because I already have 1.5 sets. So there
you go.
Okay, so Chris, we have Tiny Bean in the wings.
Yes, hang on.
Along with our guest.
Bring her up.
So why don't we find out what's going on? Review of movies and some of the things that are out now. Some classics as well, and some advice on some of the better movies and things that we could be doing this summer. So,
yep.
What do you think?
Alrighty. So, without further ado, here is. Now, once again, I will be creating an intro. Just give me some time, Tiny. Tiny Bean Tara.
Yeah.
Or Tara. You say Tara or Tara? Or Terror. I like calling Tara. Tiny Bean Tara.
Whatever. I like the Tiny Bean Tara. I like
Terror. There you go.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
So hey guys, it's great to be here. Hello, IFB fans. It is a super fun time in Tiny Bean's Corner this week. Before we jump into our promised summer nostalgia must-sees that I promised you we would talk about tonight, I want to start with discussing this summer's sci-fi blockbuster, The Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime. Now, this one stars Chris Pratt in a very uncharacteristically unfunny lead role. J.K. Simmons as his estranged father, Yvonne Strahovski as a brilliant scientist in the future, Sam Richardson as the comic relief, and there's just a slew of other actors. They all step up to their roles admirably. There's really no weak links in this cast. Now, the premise is that it's 30 years in the future. There will be a hostile alien attack, and our planet is losing. So, to help combat that, scientists in the future have constructed a very rudimentary wormhole for time travel back to the present day, where they're enlisting the help of people via a draft to join the cause and fight. Enter Chris Pratt, who's a rather melancholy father and school teacher, but he also happens to be former military. So he quickly becomes a leader of his ragtag group who made the jump in time with him, and some wild action sequences ensue, great effects and aliens. It's basically a smorgasbord of summer blockbuster elements. Nods to The Thing, nods to Prometheus. There are surprises abound. I will not give away any spoilers. And as promised, yes, there is a heart here. It is ultimately a film about family and about the effects of time. Is it groundbreaking? Is it a masterpiece? No. But does it need to be? No. Because in the end, it's a fun and innovative summer sci-fi blockbuster, and that is the name of the game. I felt the same feeling leaving the theater back when Armageddon came out, or Independence Day. It's fun. It's a hoot. Check it out. You won't be sorry. So, speaking of summer blockbusters, as promised, let's dive into our youth, shall we? Here are the Tiny Beam 3 classic can't miss summer blockbusters from back in the day. Let's start with the giant elephant in the room, or in this case, the giant shark. Summer just isn't summer without Jaws, right? I mean, come on. 1975 classic features Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, all in career-defining roles. The film also stars a giant mechanical shark named Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer. Come on, the lawyer is a shark. Brilliant. It's got the beautiful backdrops of Martha's Vineyard as Amity Island, and a soundtrack that people can recognize after hearing, what, 3 notes? Now, not sci-fi, not fantasy, but I feel both genres owe a huge debt to this film. Even though it is one of Spielberg's earliest efforts, it remains a masterclass in how to build suspense, how to ratchet up the tension through your actors, how to creating that sense of no way out that deeply inspired and informed how our next classic blockbuster was created and how it turned up the dial way past 11. Of course, I am talking about Ridley Scott's first Hollywood film, my pick for the scariest movie of all time, Alien. Now, full disclosure, this is one of my all-time favorite films, and I could talk about this for hours. I think it is just a masterpiece. I do plan to do a multi-segment dive on Alien in the coming weeks because there's just no way to tell all of the cool things about it in one shot. This film broke new ground in so many ways. Just for example, I'd like to focus now on just how the creation of the set of the Nostromo spaceship informed every aspect of the filming. This incredibly detailed and incredibly claustrophobic set was created in such a way that it became an immersive experience for the actors from the minute they got on set. No fancy craft services table just right out of camera range, you know? Once you were on the set, you were in the Nostromo. Tom Skerritt's flamethrower almost burned Ridley Scott at one point because they were so on top of each other. They also pumped in tons of dry ice to give it a smoky feel. Actress Veronica Cartwright once said that when they finished filming each day, they were all covered in grime. I mean, can you imagine? But the ultimate, of course, the surprise for the actors, the chest-bursting alien scene. Come on, 40 years later, we know it's there. We know it's coming. and it still makes you jump. Now, imagine being an actor on that set and reacting to that unprepared in real time for just how extreme and graphic it was going to be. So much to get into on this film, and I promise you we will. But do yourself a favor, don't let the summer go by without a fresh eyes rewatch of Alien. And next time we meet, we'll talk about it some more. Oh, one final note. Scott and his set designers wanted a real feeling of this ship being kind of junky, so they raided film production warehouses for pieces they could repurpose into the set. And at one point, the most eagle eyed viewers may spot something that looks a little familiar. R2D2's feet were repurposed into the alien set. I won't tell you where. You tell me if you find it, okay? So that, of course, brings us to the ultimate sci-fi classic summer blockbuster, Star Wars. Now, don't give me, oh, you mean A New Hope or Episode 4. No. If you were a kid when Star Wars hit the theaters, it is what you will always come to mind when you hear Star Wars. Now, again, there is so much that we can talk about this beloved classic. I will definitely dive into the whole series in depth at some point, but for now, I just want to talk about how it felt when you first saw it. Now, for me, it was life-changing. It literally blew my mind. And there was a girl in it who shot at stormtroopers and stood up to Darth Vader. I mean, wow. Chewbacca looked like this big, tough dog, and I love dogs. R2-D2 made being a robot look cuddly. I mean, for a little girl, this was huge. The toy merchandising made it possible to relive the film and create new stories over and over again. And look, I still have my original R2-D2.
Yes.
So Chris, Pete, before we wrap up, why don't you guys tell me some of your Star Wars memories?
So
I got to see Star Wars at the RKO Keith's Triplex in Queens. It was an old theater show venue. It was from, I think, the 30s, and it looked like Radio City Music Hall. Anybody ever seen pictures of the inside or ever been there? That's where they broadcast Star Wars when it first came out, and I got to go see it. So it was bigger than life. It was this beautiful building and from another time. So you went in and there was atmosphere, and it was a family outing. It was on a Sunday, and it was very early on. It was probably the second month that it actually had come out, maybe the third. And I know that I think, Tara, you're familiar with that movie theater itself.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the first time I got to see it. And of course, I never looked back. I bought the book as soon as it came out, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you?
I grew up in Casper, Wyoming, and I saw it.
The violin's out.
I saw it in. I saw it 8 times. Yeah, I went to see it 8 times. The first 4 times was at the drive-in. So the drive-in, we waited in line. The line for the drive. I remember being in line for a long time at the drive-in, waiting to get into it. So it was a challenge to get into the drive-in, and then of course, after that, it went to the Rialto Theater, and then we were able to see it multiple times at Rialto Theater. So I saw it a number of times, and then was instantly fell in love with it, and I was anything that was sci-fi when I was growing up was just the bomb, and that was Star Wars. You played Star Wars, you did everything Star Wars. They came out with all sorts of generic, they came out with the good toys, but they also had a lot of generic toys. I remember getting in trouble for at the grocery store. They had this stormtrooper helmet type thing that looked like, it wasn't really a stormtrooper helmet, but it was like a robot helmet or something. And I got in so much trouble. I talked my neighbor. My neighbors took us there, and man, I was like, I've got to have this. And she's like, well, if you pay me back when you get home, well, I'll buy it for you. She bought it for me. I didn't have the money to pay her back.
Oh boy.
But you have to remember, I was at that point in time, 77, I was like 8 years old. So 8 or 9. So Yeah, I got in some big trouble for that.
Chris, what a bad
That's
boy.
fantastic.
Hey, James,
Yes,
thanks for joining us. Sean says Star Wars in a drive-in double feature. The second
Yep.
movie was Orca.
Oh, yeah.
Good one.
was so cool.
That was a ripoff of Jaws.
Yeah.
Yep.
John Repper says, I rode a bike for miles through the rain just to see Star Wars on opening weekend. You go, John. That's awesome story, man. Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Let's see.
This Star Wars is really like the gateway, I think, for
The
all
gateway
of us
drug.
into this. The gateway drug with Star Wars for us.
Oh,
is
for
good.
sure.
That's right.
You got a guy in a Darth Vader outfit. Psst, come here. Come here.
Yes.
Psst. You want some Star Wars?
Yeah. Yeah, you want some Star Wars? Check
Hey.
this out.
Want some Star Wars? I'll get you some Star Wars.
Yeah, put it right into my veins, man. Love
Just like,
Star
hey,
Wars.
I have the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh, very special.
Come back to the back. Come on back here and let me give it to you.
George Lucas
Singing
doesn't want you
monkeys.
mentioning that. Stop
Yeah.
talking about that one. Tara, thanks for bringing back some good memories, and we got some stuff up, some chats, and I'll mention Rob. He's got a little bit of story too, so I'll bring that up later afterwards. But yeah, create a little bit of a buzz. Good recommendations. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night, and I will see you all in a couple of weeks.
All right.
You got it.
Take care.
Take care. Till next time. Ciao. So, Chris, we heard some really good reviews. Great classic movies.
Yes.
In the green room, though, we are lucky to have an excellent author that's done some really cool work. Actually worked on a few things, a couple of franchises that I'm very keen on. But Will McDermott is a lifelong sci-fi fan, so maybe we'll ask him about his experience with Star Wars. I'm sure he's got his own story to tell. But we're gonna pick his brain a little bit, and welcome him onto the show, and we'll talk about what he's been doing, what he's up to. And maybe he'll give us a couple of insights on how he creates his worlds and writes within others, and do that kind of thing, the thing that professional authors do and writers. So I guess we should set it up. Let's do it. And Will, welcome to the show. It's Interfleet Broadcasting, and here we are.
Hang on. I think I lost his audio. Give me a second. There we go. Now we're good.
Okay, here we go. Press that button.
There we go.
We got you, Will. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here tonight.
So, Will, tell us about your Star Wars experience.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about it, and I mentioned this a little while ago. I have a terrible memory for places, names. I saw it opening weekend. I absolutely remember that. I was 13,
Wow.
but I couldn't tell you. I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the time, and there were a number of different movie theaters that we would go to. And I couldn't tell you exactly which one it was. But I definitely was in line to see it the first
That's
weekend.
cool.
And changed my life. I mean, up to that point, we didn't have a whole lot of science fiction that we could watch that was any good, right? I mean, there was some fantasy that wasn't really all that good, but really for science fiction, it's not like today where every big blockbuster is a science fiction story, right? So we ate it up because hey, it was finally something that was really well told, really well shown, great actors who had great careers after that, right?
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal movie.
Oh, absolutely. It set a lot of careers alight. So,
Yeah.
speaking of careers, Will, tell us about your stuff because you're writing books. You're into a lot of genres, and there's a couple that I am specifically interested in. But tell us about, give us your perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So I started writing. Well, I mean, I always wanted to be a writer from an early age. Sixth grade, I was in a reading class, and all we did was read novels. And we read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and we read Hunchback of Notre Dame, and we read The Hobbit. And that was really my first introduction to fantasy, and that was pretty much when I knew I want to be a writer. Up until that point, I was into mysteries. I still love mystery stories, but I was just like whole hog into mystery stories before that. But then after that, it was like fantasy and science fiction all the way. So in college, I wanted to be a writer, but I also knew I wanted to, feed myself. So I started following a journalism career and became an editor. And so I'm kind of a lifelong editor as well as a writer. But then my big break came when I got a chance to go to work at Wizards of the Coast, makers of Magic the Gathering. They also bought TSR pretty much at almost exactly the same time that I started there. Everyone thought I had come from TSR in Wisconsin. But I was working on the magazine for Magic the Gathering. And we were right next to the book department that they had brought over from TSR because TSR published a lot of Dungeons and Dragons books, right? And so I started becoming really good friends with the editors in the book department. And that eventually turned into being able to write some short stories for Magic the Gathering. And then my first novel, which was Judgment. And then my second novel. At that point, I had moved across the country. My wife started working at Fisher Price in Buffalo, actually East Aurora. So I was very interested to see your beer today because I lived for 5 years in Hamburg, New York, which is a little suburb of Buffalo.
Nice.
But while I was there, I did a lot of fiction writing. I wrote my second novel there, which is Magic Gathering, and then I got a chance to write some Cal Jericho, which is Necromunda, which is an offshoot of Warhammer 40K. So I went from high fantasy to grungy, far future science fiction in a 10-mile high hive city. Cal Jericho is blast to write, just an absolute blast to write. Probably the most fun I've had writing a character other than Kolchak.
Oh.
So that was kind of the beginning. My most recent stuff, I got a chance last year to write a Kolchak novel for Moonstone Books, and that was a lot of fun. That's for one thing, it was the first time I'd really written in first person because, of course, it's all kind of film noir. He's got that inner monologue narrative that runs through the whole story. But yeah, Kolchak he's a blast to write. And, whereas writing Cal Jericho when I was a little bit of a younger man, and granted I wasn't, as physical, but now I'm writing Kolchak as an older man. And so I really get kind of the gruff, grumpy, cynical viewpoint of someone who's seen way too much and doesn't trust anybody. But yeah, so in addition, I wrote another novel for Necromunda with another character, not Cal Jericho, 2 years ago. It came out this past year. Written a bunch of short stories recently, including, see up on the screen, The Voices of Varuna. I've got a short story in there, and that's, interestingly enough, the Renegade Legion. And I never played it back in the day, but there's a company called Budgie Smuggler Games that's bringing it back, and they're just starting to do some fiction. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the short story I wrote. Hope to get a chance to write some more for them. And then the most recent thing, just this week, I finished a new Kolchak story.
Whoa.
So we can talk a little bit about that.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
It's a short story. It's actually a novelette. It's like 11,000 words. So the interesting
just
thing
11,000.
Yeah.
just 11,000 words. Took me a couple of weeks. So my editor called me and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a new short story for Kolchak, but it's a crossover between Kolchak and this 1980s very short-lived series called The Phoenix. You may not have ever seen it. It had 4 episodes in a TV movie. It stars Judson Scott, who you might remember from the second Star Trek movie. He was Khan's son.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, it's a crossover Kolchak Phoenix story. There's another story that's going to be published with it by Bobby Nash, and a graphic novel by Paul Kupperberg. I'm not sure when it's all coming out. Like I said, I just sent in my first draft of my story. So I'm excited about it. It was fun. Very fun.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm sure Pete's looking forward to the new Kolchak.
Big fan
and
of
Kolchak. Yeah, and I'm going to start working on the next Kolchak novel pretty much right after we're done talking, probably. I've actually got a proposal in, and I got to put together the outline to send to my editor.
So let's talk writing then. Will, tell us a little bit about, how do you transition from being, someone that's a big sci-fi fan, and I know that in your bio, you were like Encyclopedia Brown, Hardy Boys, and sci-fi, all of that stuff. How do you go from that to now writing? And maybe we can touch a little bit about what is tie-in fiction. I think this is where it all kind of comes together.
Right. Well, tie-in fiction is anything that's based on a established property. So all the Battlestar Galactica novels, that's tie-in fiction. I've written a lot for games, Magic the Gathering novels, Dungeons and Dragon novels. They're all tied to a property that the writer doesn't necessarily control. I'm basically writing in someone else's sandbox. And so, sometimes there's licensing, and I've got, I like to say I have 9 novels written, but there's one that hasn't come out yet because it's kind of in licensing limbo at the moment. But yeah, so there's licensing stuff involved, and there's there's a creator of the world who owns the rights, and then there's the writers who are brought in to tell stories in those worlds. And you have to play nice, but you also get to have some fun. I've created lots of characters over the years to put into these stories that are just kind of incidental characters, but they help move the story along. They help the main character, or stand in the way of the main character, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. The other thing I really like about writing tie-in stories is that the research that you're doing for writing a tie-in story is watching movies, watching television shows, reading comic books.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
You have to immerse yourself in the world, right? You have to know.
Where do I sign up?
You have to know the stuff that's going on, because the readers who are avid fans of these properties, right? They'll catch stuff. And I give a lot of props to my editors, because I'm not always the most knowledgeable person about a world. There's lots of fans out there who have spent way more hours than I have watching these shows and dissecting them. And so, without the editors to help me get things right, I would get things wrong, and then the readers would let me know about
it. Yeah, you don't want to get clubbed over the head by the fans, but Will, how do you create a character from like watching? Like you said, you watched the show, and you mentioned, the Phoenix series, which was really short. And, most of us that, you described the character and who the actor was, and I know who it is.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you go about you know, getting into it? Because you described reading it, you know, you got to immerse yourself. But now, what do you do with that?
So yeah, for the established characters, the characters that are part of the world, you have to do the research. You have to watch the shows, see their mannerisms, see what they look like. I'll stare at a picture of Kolchak or the Phoenix while I'm writing, so that I can get into my head, what to me are the real identifying features that I want to bring out, so that the readers kind of get a feel for who this is. And so it's really easy, when you've got that visual. Um, when I wrote my first Cal Jericho novel, there were several graphic novels that they had sent me, and I tore through them. And there was just this one iconic image of Cal Jericho. It's all just kind of cyberpunkish, and it's this terrible world that's falling apart, and he's standing on just some like heating vent or something in the what they call the underhive, and he's got this long flowing leather coat, and there's like a steam coming out of this vent that he's standing on, and it's billowing his cloak behind him, right? Um, and that just really stood out to me when I was reading through it, and I really felt like I got who that character was, because he was as much about style as he was about his abilities. And I make some jokes in the first novel about how he makes his own luck by looking good. Uh, but and so I brought that image, and of course the other two characters who are his sidekicks make fun of him for standing there where this vent is, billowing out his cloak while he's standing there like, you look like an idiot. And he says, no, I look good. Because that's who Cal Jericho was. There he is right there.
There we go. Oh yeah.
So yeah, for the established characters, it's what's that?
He's a known character. I mean, he's not a space marine, but he's definitely known. It's Cal Jericho. Before I knew who Cal Jericho was, and I'm a big 40K fan. So when you said Cal Jericho, I was like, oh, I know who Cal Jericho is. That's cool.
Yeah. Awesome. I got to write the first 3 novels that featured Cal. And got him married at the end of the 3rd novel, and then they decided to move away from doing Necromunda novels for a while. And so, my headcanon at least, he's still married. I planned on getting him unmarried in the 4th novel. And that's the thing, you can't make big changes to the main characters unless you get sign off from the license holder. So there's the famous story of Bob Salvatore killing off Chewbacca, right, in one of his novels. Well, Bob Salvatore took a lot of crap from the fans about that, but I can guarantee you it wasn't Bob Salvatore's decision. It might have been his concept. I don't know. I don't know the story that well, but I definitely know it wasn't just his decision to do that in the novel. That had to go through a whole bunch of other people who had control of where that narrative was going.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, in terms of all these franchises that you've actually been involved with, because you've done Magic: The Gathering, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned a whole bunch up front, and
right.
There's one other thing that you also dabble in is you do some cooking, right?
Oh yeah. So when we moved to Buffalo, my wife was working, and I had been laid off from Wizards of the Coast at that point, because those of you who know anything about Wizards of the Coast know they got the license for Pokemon, the Pokemon trading card game, which exploded the company. It just became almost $1 billion company overnight, and that lasted for a few years, and then the Pokemon craze died down a little bit, and the company had ballooned quite a bit, and then it had to come back down. So anyway, my wife got a job. We moved across the country for the second time, and I was just doing freelance writing at home, and so I became the stay-at-home dad. We had 3 kids, 6-year-old twin boys and an 8-year-old daughter. And yeah, I became, chief cook and bottle washer for a family of five for that next 5 years, and then it just kind of stuck. And yeah, so the last 20 years or so, I've been the main cook for our house, and I love cooking, and I look for new recipes, and I tweak recipes, and yeah, I've been writing about it on my blog for the last few months. Kind of the nexus, I call it, of writing and cooking, and how I started noticing things that were kind of similar in both, where like tweaking a recipe over here is sort of like tweaking my plot over here. So I've been writing about that.
So, Will, does that mean there might be a cookbook in your future?
I've thought about it. I've thought about taking these blogs and adding some recipes and putting out a cookbook. We'll have to see what happens.
Just give them a sci-fi twist, and I think you got a winner.
That's a great idea. I like that. I'm going to write that down and steal it.
All right, go for it. Just put in a little homage to IFB, man. That's awesome.
That's right. That's right.
So then, of all the franchises that could be out there, I'm gonna name the top three. And the one other thing though that I was curious. So let's I'm gonna hold off from this. The one thing that you mentioned was that you did games.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
what is
I
that about?
have written. So I've written in the gaming industry for quite a while. I started at Wizards of the Coast, writing about Magic the Gathering and the Duelist and doing editing, which was their magazine. But then since then, I've worked on video games. I was hired at ArenaNet in 2006, and we moved back across the country again from Buffalo back to Seattle. And ArenaNet is known for Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. And so I got to write in-game dialogue, story stuff for Guild Wars, for a couple of their expansions, Nightfall and Eye of the North, and then for Guild Wars 2. And one of the best days of my life was the writers got to go down to Hollywood to sound studio for a voiceover sound studio for a week, and we would sit there and help with the actors. So worked with like Tara Strong, who's been on Loki recently, Nolan North, but I got to also be there the day that Claudia Christian from Babylon 5 we asked her to do several voices, and she's amazing. And did these like three different voices.
She is
just
very
completely
amazing.
different. But I was also in the studio when she was asked to do what are called exertions, which are grunts and things like, you're swinging an axe, now you're swinging a sword, now you've been hit in the side, and so it was a half an hour of listening to Claudia Christian grunt. Best day of my life.
I'll watch that. Yeah. Heck yeah.
So anyway, that was video games, and I've worked on some other video games over the years. Worked on a game called Terra for MS Entertainment. Worked on a game called Hawken that was great and never saw the light of day beyond beta. It was a mech fighting game. See what else. I worked for Nintendo for about 10 months on a crossword game of all things, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
But the last couple of years, I've been working for off and on contract for a company called Funko Games.
Oh yeah.
They're owned by the Funko Company, and they make games. And last year, I got to work on the Goonies game and the ESPN Trivia Night. And then like 2 years ago, the first thing I did there was that choose your own adventure game, The War with Evil Power Master. And I got to write a whole bunch of choose your own adventure text for that game. It was a blast.
Whoa, choose your own adventure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Those are cool. Very cool. So, Will, couple of things. Before I get into the franchise question, I just realized there are a couple of things. And one is tell Chris, my co-producer, co-host, partner, to the best of your ability, tell him who Carl Kolchak is and why he's so worthy.
Okay. Carl Kolchak. Without Carl Kolchak, there is no X-Files. Without Carl Kolchak, there is no Supernatural. He was the original supernatural investigator. And he just basically spawned that whole genre. Both the creators of both the X-Files and Supernatural both credit Kolchak, the Night Stalker, as the thing that really made them want to do these two shows, which were iconic, just hugely iconic. X-Files had how many seasons? 7, 8, and then a revival.
Yeah.
Supernatural goes on for 15 seasons, unheard of, right? Just unheard of. And he's just, Darren McGavin brings him to life. He's just so irascible, and he's just he doesn't take crap from anybody, and he kind of bumbles his way through stuff and yet still finds his way. And the thing that I really realized recently, and I put this into this short story, is he's got this heart of gold. He puts himself out there for no other reason than to stop the bad guy. He's always talking about wanting to get the story and getting the story out there and getting the truth out there, which, X-Files instilled, right? But you see him over and over again, just go down into a sewer, go into a vampire's house to lure her out to the giant cross to burn. And he should die in every episode, but he doesn't. A lot of dumb luck, but
Yep.
But the fact that he puts himself in harm's way because no one else is going to do it is amazing. He could walk away, but he never does. And that's the kind of side of him that I really want to explore more of, because I don't think that does get explored enough. And my recent short story gets into that a little bit.
And what about plugging your book, the one you have right behind you?
Yeah. So Strangled by Death. Now, the interesting thing about Strangled by Death, probably my favorite Kolchak story is the Night Strangler. Probably because it's set in Seattle, and I love Seattle. It's my adopted home. But also it's got Richard Anderson, and I grew up watching The Bionic Woman and The $6 Million Man, so I love Richard Anderson. So in my novel Strangled by Death, there's a supernatural killer, of course, and I don't want to give too much away, but he does have a connection to the Richard Anderson character, Dr. Richard Malcolm.
Yes.
So I really wanted to kind of bring that original the second movie kind of into my story, even though it's set in LA. But I found a way to, he had, he was just trying to stay alive, right? He was trying to live forever, the Strangler. And so because of that, he was getting into other things that allowed him to get a hold of the things he needed to stay alive. I don't want to mess it up for anyone who's not seen the movie. And then that becomes important in my novel. But yeah, I talked with Joe Gentile, who's the editor at Moonstone, a couple of years ago, and we talked about ideas, and we passed ideas back and forth, and he's looking for whatever the angle was going to be, and I gave him some ideas, I did some research, and I was looking up, just kind of supernatural things that hadn't been done before, you know, uh, and the thing I found, and I don't want to give too much away, but I found a legend, and there's actual um, books that have been written about this supernatural item from like the 17 and 1800s that are still around.
Nice.
That talk about its powers and how it was used and how it was made. And so, yes, this supernatural item becomes important in my novel. And the other thing that it's got is a serial killer, because, serial killers are always cool. And it's a serial killer from a long time ago who has somehow returned, and I won't say too much more than that. And then the other thing I've got in there is I was reading about Dragnet at the time, the making of Dragnet, and there was some interesting stuff in Dragnet, and the original case that was followed in the movie that rebirthed the Dragnet series in the 60s was about this killer. And so I have a connection to Dragnet in the story as well, with a surviving ancestor of some of the people involved. So yes, a lot of moving parts.
Way cool. Way cool.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Will, where can we get that book and any of the other Kolchak stuff, and the other stuff as well, but specifically the Kolchak work that you do? Where can we get that?
It's the moonstone.com. Let me look it up real quick.
I'm pretty sure Moonstone definitely has it. I know that because I ordered a copy myself. However, is there another outlet, or it's basically Moonstone? Because your other work is out. It's on Amazon.
Right. Yeah. Most of the rest of it's on Amazon.
But I think Kolchak is on Moonstone. It's pretty much on there.
I think there are some stores. Let me look for something real quick here.
Well, in the meantime, that's not the only thing that we wanted to ask you about, Will. And this is where we put you on the spot and ask you about franchising, and whether or not if you had a choice. Oh, and there we go. There's the Moonstone.
Yeah.
And there's yours
and
right
Diamond.
There.
Yeah. Diamond Books, I think you can also get it from.
Okay. Very cool. The Paranormal Investigator, Truth No Matter the Cost. And there's yours right there. Kolchak.
And I love that. Is my absolute all-time favorite cover. Mark Maddox did that, and I think it's just incredible. That's the best cover on any of my books.
And that's a great shot of Darren McGavin. That's a beautiful Night Stalker picture of him. I mean, that's him, and then the rest of it works just perfect. Really nice cover, Will. So if anybody wants and are interested, that's the place to go. And I believe your future work with Kolchak is also with Moonstone, correct?
Yeah. They have the license to produce the Kolchak. They're a really interesting little production house. They've got licensing to a lot of kind of smaller IPs that some of the other places don't have. So if you go there and look around, you'll see stuff that you go, oh yeah, I remember that. But it's like from the 70s and had maybe a season, but there's fans out there for it. So,
oh, for sure. So, Will, if we talk about franchising, Chris had actually come up with this question. So, Chris, why don't you ask Will the franchise question?
Oh, you put me on the spot. What was the franchise question again? I asked it, but I forgot what it was.
It has to do with the three big ones, and which one, if
Oh,
any,
okay, yeah. So, now I remember. Thank you. So you've written a lot of franchise books, but if you were given an opportunity to write for any franchise without penalty, what franchise would you pick, and why?
Without penalty.
Yeah,
That's
without a penalty, you can choose any franchise. Which franchise would you pick, and why would you pick that franchise?
Okay. Well, I was thinking about this, and I wrote a lot of stuff down, so I'm going to be hedging a lot of bets. But I do have one in the end that I'll say. First of all, I would love to write classic Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Again, I was like 14 when that series came out. I ate that series up. I thought it was. I was looking it up, and I'm like, I can't believe it was 2 seasons. Like, I thought it was on for so long. I remember watching that all the time, right? But I loved Battlestar Galactica so much, and it definitely would love to write in the classic. I'm a huge fan of Supernatural, as you might have guessed already. I have watched every single episode 15 years. I probably have watched the first 5 seasons 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
The 5th season of Supernatural is just amazing. It's just some of the best horror, science fiction, fantasy stuff that's ever been made. The season finale of season 5 is, to me, one of the best written shows ever. I just absolutely love it. The franchise that I probably would pick would be Stargate SG-1.
Oh boy, another
huge
favorite.
I am a huge fanboy of Stargate SG-1. It is my absolute dirty pleasure, guilty pleasure.
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip.
Hey, Will, what about Stargate
the characters
Universe?
Are great. Yeah, I need to. I have not kept up with everything in the Stargate universe, and I've been kind of watching because they keep talking about maybe they're bringing some things back. So there's definitely episodes of things that I need to watch past SG-1. I watched a little bit of Atlantis. I think I watched almost all of Atlantis, but then kind of drifted away after that. But I need to check out Stargate Universe.
It is.
But I'll tell you what, if you have me back in a year or so, maybe I'll have some news I can share.
Ooh.
I don't have news I can share now.
Excellent.
I wish I did have news I could share now because I'm very excited about the news. But maybe maybe a year from now.
I highly recommend Stargate Universe. There's 2 seasons, and it is one of of the entire franchise of Stargate. I will admit openly, it's my favorite of all. I've watched it probably 4 or 5 times over. It's gritty. It's different. So it's really, life and death, and they took away a lot of the tongue in cheek that would creep up, and a lot of that the comic relief stuff is not in Stargate Universe. And that's something that I really enjoyed a lot. So I highly recommend it.
I mean, that's good. I actually think that's a good thing because, I mean, that's the way that TV is now, and I really enjoy that. There is a lot of gritty stuff out there now that I really enjoy watching. Although that being said, the last year or two, watching things like The Good Place and Ted Lasso has definitely been kind of a soothing balm, and as opposed to watching, dysfunctional offices. The Ted Lasso series is so amazing, and The Good Place just has a warm place in my heart.
Question from George. He says, what about Highlander? Opinion?
Oh my God, yes. I would definitely write Highlander. Loved the movies. It's campy and terrible, and Scottish accent and everything. And the series, my wife and I, that was probably one of the very first series that we really watched together. That and the Showtime Robin Hood series
Oh
back
yes,
in
that's right.
the
Yeah,
80s or 90s. Oh, that was
that
such a
was
good
actually pretty
series.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You can't
Uh,
find a good copy of that. I've looked around and they're all just like, they were taped off of a tape of a VHS. They're terrible. But yeah, I
well,
would I would definitely write Highlander.
we want to welcome Jeff Anthony and Jonathan to the show. Thanks for joining us, guys. Will, a lot of great stuff. Love talking. However, I want to ask you about screenplays. Have you ever written a screenplay? And if you have, what is it? If you can tell us. And if you haven't, what would it be?
I haven't, and I've thought about it. Um, Lately, what I've really wanted to do is do a Netflix series treatment, because of course everyone's doing a Netflix series treatment, right? Um, and something the hard part is finding something that is new and exciting and but then a take on take on something that's been done, because everything's been done, right? um, my wife and I a couple of years ago watched Russian Doll, which was one of the most
Oh
innovative
yeah.
things I'd seen in a long time. It's so wonderful. um, so it would probably be what they call kind of modern fantasy, or fantasy set in the real world. Would probably be or possibly kind of a horror supernatural kind of thing. But um, one idea I had recently, and I'm going to give it away for free right now, is kind of based on a. Did you ever see what was the name of that movie? So a movie about a professor who kind of gathers a group of his students to play blackjack in
Oh yes.
Vegas. And
Yes.
instead of doing that, it's the professor who gathers the students to do kind of his legwork on fighting supernatural forces, a la Kolchak or Supernatural or the X Files. And so you've got this cast of young 20-somethings and some irascible professor, and I see him as being possibly he got into a bad fight with a werewolf or something, and he doesn't have the use of his legs anymore. And I've actually developed a little bit more than that, but I've been thinking about taking that one and developing it as a screenplay. So I probably
Yes.
would start there.
Write it, Will. Write it,
I
man.
will.
That sounds
I
so
will.
cool, man. Love it. Um, so projects, what is out now, and what is there that you can tell us that's on the verge, or are there any other
Right.
schools?
Yeah. So this past year, let's see. There's the Soulless Fury. Let's see if I can get this to appear.
Oh
There
yeah,
we go.
Soulless Fury.
So that came out. Last year in 2020. That's a Necromunda novel based on the character of Mad Donna, who's another bounty hunter like Cal Jericho, but she's batshit crazy, and also a lot of fun to write, because she could just do anything and she would get away with it, because she just does crazy stuff and gets away with it. And then there's the Kolchak novel that just came out. I've got short stories in The Voices of Varuna, and in the Turning the Tide. The Turning the Tide is an interesting anthology, because it's a charity anthology by the International Association of Media Tie-in Writers, which I'm a part of. And we got like 20 authors together, and we all donated a story, and the editors donated their time. And it's raising money for the World Literacy Foundation. And the story I've got in there is about Balthor, the Norse god, and Balder, and the Norse god, and Loki. And it's a fun it's a fun story that helps set up some of the later things that happen between Balder and Loki in the Norse myths. A huge fan of Norse myths. I've got a book from like the 80s that I think must have been a college textbook that I've just kept all this time, that I love. The story in the Voices of Varuna is fun because it's far future. It thinks it's as far future as Star Wars is far past. It's like the 72nd century. Um, uh, but my story is a heist story, which I'd never written a heist story before.
Oh, nice.
And so it's a lot of fun. It's got all the tropes of the heist story,
Cool.
but it's the Union versus the Tog. The Tog is kind of the evil empire from the viewpoint of the Union anyway, and then the Union are the rebels from their viewpoint. And so yeah, a group of the Union have to go in and steal a scientist from a lab, and so that's a really fun story. Coming up, I've got the short story for Kolchak, which I think will probably be out either like end of this year, beginning of next year, and then starting to work on the new Kolchak novel. And I can tell you a little bit about the concept of the Kolchak novel. So
Get the scoop
Kolchak gets invited to the grand reopening of the Hotel Cecil. And if you don't know what the Hotel Cecil is, look it up. It's the haunted hotel in downtown LA. He gets invited to the grand reopening weekend, which is held on Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great.
There will be things happening. He will see some fairly famous people who are associated with the Hotel Cecil, including Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, Richard Ramirez, who was the actual Night Stalker killer in L.A., and Lisa Lam, the young girl who sadly died, probably not by supernatural means, but who knows, right? So yeah, it should be a lot of fun to write. I'm going to start working on that probably next week.
There's a question from George. He says, Warhammer story in the future?
Possibly. I've been talking with my editor. So Black Library, who are the creators of the Warhammer, who publish the Warhammer fiction and the Necromunda fiction. They're in England, they're in London, and they were hit pretty hard by the pandemic, and so they're still just trying to get back out from under all that and get everyone working and get projects moving forward. My novel actually was delayed by several months because they couldn't get the published copies back at the beginning of because it supposed to come out I think in May or June of last year. I think it eventually came out in like August. But yeah, I've been talking with my editor there, and possibly sometime this fall we'll start talking about another novel. But at the moment, still kind of waiting to see how they wait for them to get back on their feet.
Outstanding. Looking forward to all of it. As a matter of fact, I told you I had ordered my own copy of your Kolchak book, so I'm waiting to see when that comes in. And Chris and we're doing the convention circuit. Are you coming out to any conventions?
I don't have any scheduled at the moment. I used to do a bunch of conventions when I was living in Buffalo, and then I got away from writing and was making money again for a while as an editor. That's the fun thing about it, is that I can work for someone else as an editor and make decent amount of money, or I can write novels and my wife then makes decent money for us. Which is what I'm doing now. So, and a big part of the writing is getting out there. So yeah, probably once conventions start back up again, now that I've got some stuff that has been coming out the last year or two, I'll be hitting those again.
Outstanding.
Not
Well,
sure
we
if I'll
look
hit the
forward-
East Coast. I used to do a lot of the East Coast stuff. I go to Philly and I go to Boston and go up to Toronto because Buffalo is, yeah, you could get to just about anywhere from Buffalo, which is really nice.
Oh, that's great. We're looking forward to that. Well, Will, thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing your thoughts. We really enjoyed all that. And Chris, I hope you now have a better education on who Kolchak is.
Yeah, like I said, I've never watched Supernatural, so I've never watched Kolchak or Supernatural, but I have watched X-Files, so now I have an idea.
There you go. Yeah, it's Chris Carter, right? Creator
Yeah.
for X Files.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely. I've read interviews. He credits Kolchak with that's where the whole thing started.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Will, we're looking forward to having you again in the future. Come back when, anything that you have published, anything coming out, we'd love to have you come back. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for taking the time out. I'm hoping to run into you at a show, so keep us posted. If you're going to do any of them, we'll put it out there, and looking forward to the next one.
All right. Thanks a lot, Pete. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, take care. Thank you for coming on.
You too.
Take care, Will.
Appreciate it. All right.
You got
Night.
it. So, Chris, what do you think, man? You going to start reading Kolchak or not?
I think I'll watch.
All right, we're going to watch. I already told you.
One or two.
I got a couple of really good episodes, and we've got recommendations that maybe we should start with the movie. As a matter of fact, the movie that Will was talking about, that's referenced, the character is referenced in his book. So maybe we might end up doing that. I have it on Blu-ray.
Cool.
Hey, it's good stuff. And someday you'll get into 40K.
Too much to get into.
Yeah, I know.
There's way too much to get into. All right.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to mention that a follower of ours, a fan, Rob, also mentioned that he had actually seen the original Star Wars, and he posted, in case anyone else is familiar with the theater that he mentioned, and I'm gonna find it right here in a second, since Rob shared it with us. He was kind enough to tell us a little bit about where he was. I think it was Pennsylvania. Yes, I'm pretty sure the first place I saw Star Wars was at the Copper Kettle Cinema in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So for those of you that are from that neck of the woods, maybe that rings a bell, and I wanted to make sure I brought that up. I'm sure there's everyone else out here remembers, that Star Wars, that movie and going, and, it was a lot of fun, and it's still a lot of fun. I just wish they would release the classic and give us a choice between, the new one that they remastered or whatever. I'd like to see the original as it was. Chris, opinion?
I always go for the original. It's always fun to watch, even if it's VCR style or VCR quality. It's always good to watch something original. I've got the Battlestar Galactica VCR series too, so and I have a VCR, and I've been known to plug some VCR stuff in, and you do get to appreciate the high definition Blu-ray stuff, but it's just you get that feeling, the 4x3 setup, square. So yeah,
agreed.
It's the feeling.
So everybody, we have our book versus episode, and Will McDermott. Hey, Will, thanks for tuning in, right? And, being a part of this and staying with us. He says the Nightly Murders. That's my favorite Kolchak episode. And I brought that up to Chris. Chris, remember we talked about it was the night? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the one he recommends too. So, yeah. All right. So, without further ado.
He wrote the title was Strangled by Death was his other one. And the only thing that kicks into my head is, you probably don't know this one, but Killed by Death, which is Motorhead song. No,
No.
not a Motorhead fan.
No.
Killed by Death, yeah. Strangled by Death, yeah, same thing.
Thanks for that, Chris. That was
Yeah.
enlightening.
I could do the Lenny thing, but I have to reach up like this and scream. Lenny was the lead singer, by the way, just in case you didn't know.
That's right. Just in case.
For you uncultured personnel who do not know
Yes.
who Motorhead is. All right, so it's time to start Book Versus episode. We're a little late on this, but we're gonna roll through it anyway. So thank you guys. Stick around. We're going to go ahead and go forward tonight. It'll be a little longer of an episode than usual, but we're long-winded and we've got some great fans out there that watch, even in syndication. So here we go.
Book versus episode.
Why do you stop it before we get to see the Viper? Why do you do that?
There's no Viper. You're thinking it must be invisible or something, like Wonder Woman's plane or something. There's no invisible Viper there.
You know something? You need to get over yourself. By the way,
We're Cylons.
there
We
was a
don't get over
comment.
ourselves.
Yeah, whatever. Mediocre Modeler mentioned sounds like Will could write some Firefly. And Will
Heck
came back
yeah.
and said, I would love to write Firefly. How about that?
Yeah, I think one of the
yeah.
the book that he mentioned that had all of the that they did for charity that had all the
Yeah.
different short stories. One of the writers there, Nancy, don't quote me. I can't remember her last name. She's the one that I've listened. I don't read a lot because I drive a lot, but I've listened to every single Firefly novel that has come out, and she has done a
boy.
novel or two. Pardon me.
So, Mediocre Modeler, you know what he says? Motorhead definition, prehistoric Cylon.
Killed by death. I remember.
Killed by death.
Don't quit your day job, buddy.
That's it. You know, that's why I'm definitely not a singer. I just play one on YouTube and Facebook
And
and Twitch.
Well, so we decided, Chris, right, that we were gonna do a recap, right? We
Yeah.
were gonna go back over chapter 15 real quick. We're gonna do like the highlights of
Yep.
chapter 15, and then we would wrap with 16, which is short. It's only like 4 pages. It's very close to the episode as is in terms of, you know, the scenes that are covered. But so chapter 15, Chris, do you have your notes up?
Yes, I do.
We can just slice this up, slice and dice. It starts on page 128, and this is Volpa, the first centurion, is, you know, he gets his reports,
Right.
and he's angry.
Yeah.
Cylon's
So
not supposed to be angry.
if you don't remember from last week, and we apologize if we're doubling our efforts here, but last week we were a little challenged by the internet and the storm that was coming through. So we wanted to get through. We wanted to kind of just do a rundown of this. So the chapter starts out with Volpa, of course, who's supposed to be the bad guy. We all know this now. And if you haven't known this, tune into our other episodes, and we'll talk about how Volpa was supposed to be the bad guy and not Baltar.
Baltar, yeah.
So he's describing about an insect. That's really what it says, that crawls under the Cylon armor and gets onto their skin and irritates the crap out of them. And it reminds him of how irritating he is with these humanoids, these humans. And so, you know, this kind of starts out with I can envision the centurion coming up, and he's like, you know, hey, we we found the land ram that they were in, but they're not there, and the humanoids can't survive the plateau. So,
yes.
He's like, did you hunt them down? They're like, no, the humans can't survive the plateau. And I was like, oh, maybe he's right.
Yeah,
I hope
Cylon.
he says, I hope you're right. That's not too foreshadowing or anything there.
Yeah, exactly.
But those insects beneath his metal are crawling. He's the same drive. It would drive people, drive the warriors mad. So
yeah.
So that's kind of like the first area of it, and then it switches over to the where we left off in the very first episode when they were inside they gotten through the hatch, gone down into the the area. What do they call it?
It was a subterranean system of caves.
Yeah. And the funny thing is later on we'll find out in a second, but this is not the normal place the hunters hang out. Now this is the Surf 5'9", and what's her name again?
Tenna. Yeah, and it's a research station.
Yeah, it's a research station, and they're like, hey, welcome to the research station, and Apollo's like, research station? And then we get a little bit of background about how this research station came to be.
Yes. Which is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
And it was taken over by the Cylons.
Of course.
And
you don't need to research.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. Yeah. Not to mention that we also find out about there's other clones, right, Chris? It's the planner clones.
Yes.
So then we know Surf 5'9", right? He's part of the worker clones, but there are other types of theta life forms, right? And those are the planner clones that he uses to kind of like oversee, like they're the council and they're the quote the thinkers and I guess like engineers, but Surf 5'9", he's not on that level, right? He's just one of the worker guys.
Right, he's just the worker bee hunter guys. So
yeah, hunter guys. Yeah, hunter workers, right?
Yeah. So here's a quick look. If you got your hunters, and then the planners are the ones with the purple stripes on the back. And I actually have I've marked the we can play the outtakes. We just can't play the movie anymore. We got a little bit of trouble for that. So I can definitely get away with the outtakes because YouTube doesn't pick that up. But if you try to put the movie on there, they shut you down. They cut you down hard. So but those we'll play some. We'll have some of those things done out. So they go to this, and actually I do have the two types of. This is where I disagree. They said the Father Creator made two types of theta life forms. 3. I mean,
right?
You've got the male guy, you got the female, and then you've got the planners. That's
the planners. So that's
3 in my book.
But they consider
the female and the male hunters.
Yeah, hunters. Yeah,
right.
And workers, right? They're like
hunter workers. Yeah,
hunter workers. Yeah. So yeah.
And then
Mediocre Modeler says he never noticed the purple striped ones. Yeah, those are the planners.
Yeah, and we'll when we play the outtake here in a couple seconds or a couple minutes, you'll see the planners and how they were supposed to talk and how they were supposed to play into this episode, which it was all
in the book.
In the book, yes, it was all in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book. So this is so. Then we also get a scene in the book where there's an awareness that Apollo is caught up in things. And Starbuck is aware that the team, right, Croft and his goons are just waiting for a chance to jump them and get the hell out.
Yeah, which like you said last week, it's like you should have known that. Come on. Yeah, Apollo's like, come on, Apollo, wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my dad is gonna give him back his his rank and
his rank.
He's and Starbuck told him, says, yeah, maybe Croft, maybe Lita, but the others, they're freaking killers. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, they don't have to be warriors. Okay, well, they're warriors no matter what you do to them. They're always going to be warriors. So they're going to make a break for it, of course. You know, and Starbuck is like, hey, I love it. Starbuck, it says, Starbuck says, we have a bet going, and Apollo comes back and says, you surprised me. Boomer and I have a wager going. And you can just imagine Apollo looking at him going like, no kidding. Like, that's something that you never do. You surprised me. But yeah, it's one of those, which one of these guys is going to jump you first?
Yeah. And then we find out that Sir 5-9, the one that they're dealing with, is actually considered a revolutionary.
Yes, that's why they're outside the city. That's not normal. They're not normally in the village. They're kept outside the village for hunting and everything else. I guess they slide the meat under the door or something. I don't know.
Or they just bring them whatever they kill. And we found out that this outpost, right, was really a planet.
Right. So that's where we get a little background on this. It's a planet that. So the story goes that there were some people tired of the Cylon War, and the scientists tired of the Cylon War. I guess you might call them pacifists or something. And they left and found another location where they could create weapons that would stop not be part of the war, but weapons of peace. So that would help foster peace between the Cylons and the humans. And there was it's like a big think tank. They all left. They created this think tank on this island, and of course, who shows up to take care of them in the think tank? It's the Colonials. No, it's the Cylons.
Because they show up to kill them.
Yeah, they killed, and it says it killed most of them.
Yeah,
which is where Ravishar, which we'll find him later, talks how he becomes that, but that he makes weapons of peace, or not weapons of peace, objects of peace. Father Creator. I'm sorry. Oh, pardon me.
That's right.
Don't upset Father Creator. I will get hit by lightning, or I'll get hit by a pulsar. One of the two. But yeah, they talk about. Go ahead.
He lives at the base of Hekla near the Cylon command post, and his home is sacred ground, Chris, so show respect.
So they after they go in there and they break through, they come to this scene, and let me give me a second to set this up.
Okay, so this is they've kind of made their way, and they discuss pretty much here that the planners are not helping. They asked the planners to not, say anything to the Cylons, and since the planners won't officially help them, they decide, they being Sir 5-9, that the only other option is they're gonna have to go talk to the Father Creator.
So let's back it up a little bit, and here is the scene.
Right here. Okay. We'll see that the passageway is clear.
Audio?
Yes.
Okay.
Starbuck.
If anything happens to me, you're in command.
All right, Captain. But when you get back, be careful where you look.
What are you talking about?
Boomer and I got a wager going over which of our specialized team is going to jump us first.
Yeah, you notice all the noise from the buckles and the clothes?
Yeah, the buckles.
Well, our lives are on the line.
So theirs.
And so is their freedom. If we're successful, we go home. They go back into chains.
Not necessarily.
And well, if I were them, I wouldn't be taking a chance.
I see what you mean.
Thought you
He got a clue.
The way is clear.
It's basically all in the book.
Roughly. Of course, there's a couple different dialogues.
Stick close to Starbuck.
Yeah, stick close to Starbuck. Don't worry, Dad. I'll keep an eye out for him.
Yeah,
Apollo
that's in the
tousles
book.
Boxy's hair, then gestures for Tenna to take over the group, and so that's that scene.
And that, I think, is where they go see the Father Creator.
Right. Well, they in that part of the show, yes, it's in the book. It's a little different. They haven't been to the Father Creator yet in the book.
Yes.
From there, they go to the Father Creator. In the book, there's a lot more stuff in between this and the Father Creator. It's actually shuffled a little bit from the movie.
It is.
So it's I mean, I get it. So they go see the planners now, and
right.
So they're going to see actually the planners in this case, and the other one that was the Father Creator, but we have to get the planners in. In the book, it's like, hey, so the planners are dressed in thick robes, face obscured. They're at a primitive conference table, and they're all gathered around. And it's funny that Apollo kind of, before they go there, says, hey, we're going to go talk to our planners. And he's like, he says, they're not terribly brave. And, they like to talk a lot is pretty much what Sir 5'9" is saying. And Apollo's like, we have the similar thing, but we call them the Council of 12. So they're the politicians. And we kind of said that last time, but they're definitely the politicians. And that it's you get it. These guys are not willing to make a decision, and they don't look anything like the hunters. And it's great that Sir 5'9" comes in and he slams his fist on the table, and he's this huge guy, and these guys are thin. But I want to bring back something that says in the book that I thought was kind of interesting. It says they're dressed in thick robes, obscured by face cowls. 5 of them, so that their group is 5. The final 5? No, I'm just kidding. The 5 of them sat in a primitive conference table under the emblem of the Experimental Research Station, a weathered holographic mural photo of the Father Creator.
Nice.
So we got a mural of the Father Creator above them.
Ravish all.
Oh, there probably candles around it, incense burning, something to that effect.
Cool. That should be you. But if it was you, it'd be the Imperious Leader.
Imperious Leader, damn right.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the Imperious. So they bring him in and they have the talk.
It doesn't go well.
No, it does not go well.
No. And go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just that things just are not, they don't play out well. And those guys, they argue amongst themselves, right? And
just like politicians,
nothing gets resolved.
That, and, and the funny thing is, one of the planners is like, oh my gosh, this must be reported. Oh boy, someone does not have a spine.
No kidding.
So, nothing will be reported is what Sir 5'9" looks at, and he slams his fist and says, nothing will be reported.
Yeah, right.
And he's clearly intimidated by 5'9" because 5'9's a pretty big dude. And they're like, we'll get back with you. They have a discussion there. This is all we don't have time for bureaucratic discussions. The weapon must be destroyed is Apollo's view. And of course the Father Creator, not the Father Creator, the planners are, we'll give you answer to the, we'll give it to you in time.
Yeah, in time, right.
In time.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they say something in the book here. It says that, let me jump to it. That is not
in
the thing,
episode, or is it part of the outtakes?
Part of the outtakes.
Yeah, in the outtakes. So there's a lot of similarity in what was intended to be in the episode and what was written, and I guess the script that Thurston's working from.
Yeah, here you go.
Impossible or not, we have to try.
Yeah, they're just talking, right? So yeah, they're at the table, they're talking.
We will discuss your request and give you our answer in a few megacentons.
We don't have time for bureaucratic discussions.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's
mega
right out of
centons. Mega centons.
Centons. Big.
I don't think that one's listed in the time frame or time ones.
It's not. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It says in time in the book, but in the thing it's mega centons.
Mega centons.
I wonder how long a mega centon is. I don't know if that one's listed in the Battlestar Galactica time chart.
I don't think so. Maybe it's in one of the fanzines though. We got to check that out. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. So they do that, and of course they come back. Don't betray us. So hey, we're gonna leave.
Yeah.
Heck with you. You're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave, and of course Sir 5-9 has told the guy, "Don't betray us." Which, in any time you hear something like that in a movie, what happens? They don't betray them, right? No. Of course.
Yeah.
So you can see that one coming.
Oh, for sure. And then they decide, of course, that the other option is, of course, to go to the Father Creator. They're going to go to Ravishal and talk to him, and then Chris, we jump back to the fleet. And
not quite yet. Hang on. I think we've got
a little bit on page 136, right? We see that the commander says some of our ships have cadets at the helm. The collision risk, right? So there's some orders given, and that's what Ty says. So we never heard that in the series, that there are cadets at the helm of some of the ships in the fleet.
He gives the order. Yeah. So and they give a distance in here, right?
Close the gaps to 25.
Yeah, 25
Adama
what?
said, and Ty protests.
That's what I wonder what that was supposed to be. Of course, none of that is in an outtake, and none of that is in the show. But yeah, you're talking cadets at the helm, and then there's collision risks, and I mean they're trying to keep from getting their proverbial butts blown off, which I don't understand is so they're pushing everybody closer together, and because they got Cylons coming up on them. But you're pushing them closer together, giving you ability to bigger target to the pulsar.
The pulsar, right? If you get in within range.
Yeah.
So that's what they were afraid of. They're afraid of getting within range of the pulsar because they're getting pushed by the Cylon, attack fleet that's coming in.
Right.
Okay. So now
back to
rewind. Hecla. Because go.
Kree. Yeah. So now we get to find out where's Kree at. So in the show, you don't get a whole lot of information in regards to Kree and what's going on with him and what did the Cylons do to him. But evidently the Cylons have got some really, really good torture mechanisms.
You say that with glee, you shouldn't.
Yes. Some really, really good torture mechanisms. They're amazing. But it talks about torture device, several wires and needles injected into part of his pressure points in his body, clamps that come down and pulsate with electric charges. Something expanded his brain like a balloon and made him think of nothing else, but it would be like about flying into pieces. Any millicron of a centon, which was another one of those time things that was just not anywhere. A millicron of a centon. So pain, that's all he feels. He's now conscious and he's kind of in and out of it. And while he gets conscious, this is where the betrayal happens. And we'll pull that up. And we won't get in trouble for that one either because it's a... you wouldn't believe all the things we had to go through when I was putting the stuff out the other day. Millicrons.
That's what Sean says. Millicron.
9:30. Here we go. Traitor.
Oh yeah. So, the planner walks in and talks to Vulpa. And there's no
Humans
audio.
cannot survive the plateau. Search
Somebody's
the village.
reading for Vulpa.
Every compartment. Find them.
Oh boy. Oh my God. That was bad. Oh,
That's actual Cylon voice. You just don't realize it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the read for it and everything else. But but Kree in the book, it's nice that Kree hears, hey, you know, there's humans on the plateau. They're coming here to save me. You know, that's what he gets out of it. And the Cylon leader, because this in the book, the Cylon leader screams out, "The Galactica, Apollo." Oh, and then you know that Kree standing there is like, "Oh my gosh, they come to help me or come to save me."
And you know the planners are numbered.
Yes, 1 to 5.
That planner was number 2 because it's mentioned in the book.
You are number 2. I am not a number.
Not a number. The prisoner. Oh,
I am a man.
I love that show.
So the planner 2 whispers. Kree could not make out what said, but Vulpa reacts by saying, "Apollo from the Galactica?" And Kree's like, "Yeah. Oh yeah, they're here to save my butt."
Number 6.
Yeah. I am number 6. You
are number
5.
2. All right, so then
we jump back to, go ahead.
Starbuck.
Yep.
And Tenna. As soon as Tenna increased the heat of the glowing light in the middle of the chamber, the team crowded around it, pulling in its warmth as if it could be gathered in a tangible ray. And Tenna touched Starbuck's arm and led him away from the group. "I will warm you now." And what does Starbuck say, Chris?
Yeah, well, hang on. He's like, yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, in front of everybody? Just want to do it in front of everybody.
Yeah, here we go. Ready?
She's ready to take her clothes off.
Yep, ready?
Yeah.
This is the deleted scene.
I will warm you now.
Heck yeah!
Now? Look, isn't there someplace more private?
Private?
Like a launch tube?
Where we can be alone.
No, there is no such place in the village.
No?
No.
Look, I'm not so cold anymore.
You should not be cold. In fact, it's preferred if you are not so cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get the idea. Look, Tenny, you see...
Being cold doesn't let you perform correctly.
Boy, am I glad to see you.
She's going to take his clothes off.
They're going to do it right there.
Right
in front of everyone.
She doesn't care.
A little exhibitionism.
Yeah. So Apollo and Sir 5'9" entered the chamber. Starbuck let out a sigh of relief. Am I glad to see you? Exactly as it's written in the book. Unfortunately, that scene didn't make it into the episode, but it was filmed, which is very interesting. So, be calm. All over the village, the underground mall, everywhere, pushing us aside, searching us, kicking any worker. That's what Cylons do, Chris. They push and kick.
Yeah, it's
any
because
worker who
now they're
stops to look
looking.
at them.
So in the show, they just suddenly the Cylons are walking around kicking the crap out of everybody, which is like, okay, I get it. They're overlords. We got it. But this in the book and in of course the cut scenes, you get the idea why they're tearing the place apart. They're tearing the place apart and they're going looking for all these things because now they know that Apollo and the crew are there to destroy the thing, and they're there.
Right.
So, and that's where we kind of split up again. And now now Sir 5'9's like, hey, the only person who's going to help us now is the Father Creator.
Yeah.
So now he's going to take him to see the Father Creator, and the other people are like, okay, well, now they're looking for you. We have to hide you.
Yeah. They're going to hide him where? Surprise.
With the children.
Whoa.
We have been bearing children and hiding them.
Yes, we love them.
We must hurry.
hear the wind blowing. Nice. That's awesome. So what are they going to do? They're going to hide everyone, right, with the children
Right.
that they've been hiding all along. Right, Chris?
Yeah. So, and of course they've got the same thing happens where, hey, Boxy's like, there's children, and and the Daggett piece where they're afraid of the Daggett. That's all still inside the book. That it's inside the show as well. But one thing they did take out of the book is right here, close to the end. I think we're at that point now, right?
Yes.
In the really end, and then wow, I mean, I know why they took it out, because it's it's virtually a sexual assault.
Yes, it is. It is. It's not. It is.
It's not a rape, but it's sexual assault. So,
oh yeah.
At this point, they're trying to hide, and Lita and Thane literally attacks Lita, and forces himself on her. Yep.
There's a squad of Cylons.
Yep.
That they spot, and so they got to duck out. And the two that duck out, right? Thane and Lita, and now describe it.
Yeah. So now Lita, Thane leans in and says, he grabs her and puts his arms around her where she can't fight or anything else, and she turns on him and says, "What are you doing?" And he says to her, "Scream if you want. Then they'll hear you, and we'll all die. But I don't care." He leans in and he kisses her and forces her body against the wall. This is right out of the book. But let's flip it now. Lita works a hand free, and really she should have kneed him in the. Anyways, but he stops forcing her because she grabs his throat.
Yeah.
And squeezes slowly until he can't breathe, and forces him back, and then of course she comes back with the great line.
Right, she tells him.
Yep. Scream if you want.
Yeah.
So scream if you want, they're gonna hear you. So, and that's the end of chapter 15. Which, like I said, I can see why that scene got taken out.
Right.
But, I guess the writing into it would give you a little background of how criminal these individuals are.
Right.
So we can jump into 16. It's not a very long chapter. We'll just get a real quick roll through that one.
And it's the Croft perspective.
Yep.
It's page 141. And Croft is talking about a little bit about his fear and second guesses, Chris. He's wondering what it is that they're doing, if this is the right thing to do. Maybe he should just, take off and try to negotiate with the Cylons, and that all that's coming up and floating around in his head. What I found very interesting, though, is that he refers to the Cylons as red lights.
Yes.
I'm going to go talk to the red lights.
Yeah.
I never heard that. They never used that anywhere. I thought that was pretty cool. And so out of all of that, though, Chris, right? So like his doubts, and he's dealing with this inner turmoil. He still takes point.
Yep.
Right. And this. So he takes point. They the Cylon Patrol moves on. He takes point, and they do refer to the idea that him and he's going to be reinstated. But there's another little piece of the story here that's very, very critical, and it revolves around Thane, and you should describe that. While I drink.
While you drink.
While I drink, and mention that Greg Griffiths is with us. Thanks for joining. And Clay Arden. What's more insulting, red lights or tin cans? I don't know. I like red lights, but
red lights sound sexier.
Yeah. There's the guy in the gutter. Anyway, so yes, this is where You know, Thane is doing some stuff. Chris, come on.
Yeah, he's gonna make a run for it.
Yeah.
He's gonna sneak out.
Yep.
And you know, and Croft could probably put a stop to it, but he doesn't, because I guess they still have that grid barge mentality. So hey, you know, I can't blame him for making a run for it. You know, I think in here they says that's his duty. His duty as a prisoner is to try to escape.
Yeah, that's how he, you know.
Yep.
I guess he makes, you know, that's his excuse. So with this, right? So Thane, Chris, he starts taking steps back instead of forward. And what I found interesting, this is only about 4 pages, right? You mentioned already that, you know, Thane takes off. So Lita calls Thane a creep.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
She calls him a creep and then says to Croft he should have taken her along. So even though she calls him a creep, she's willing to make the break and go with Thane.
Yep.
And so they have a little bit of a thing between Croft and Lita. You know, he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, you
well,
loved
Croft's
me once."
still in love with Lita.
Yeah.
Yeah. She, you know, the feeling is definitely not mutual, but Croft is still has feelings for her. So
right. And this, Chris, is where Lita mentions, like, throws, you know, sarcastically throws it into Croft's face that, oh, well, you're all about getting your rank back. You think they're gonna take care of you.
You're a sellout.
You think
you're a sellout.
Yeah, you're a sellout. Yeah. So, you know, this is, you know, I mean, there's not a lot more, Chris, to this.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
kinda...
the rest of this is Hyde. You know, Hyde. The Daggett piece is still in here, where the Muffet has the kids, and it's pretty much the hiding piece, and that's pretty much where we end out. Pretty, you know, they're hiding, and of course, they herd him into the chamber. They close the door, and they're hiding from the Cylons. And Apollo is off in his Croft says it. And Apollo's, you know, here we're hiding, and I'm scared, and there's, you know, there's a, you know, he's technically saying that. He's probably not coming right out and saying it there.
Yeah.
But you know, Apollo's off on his little escapade to you know, to get with the Father Creator while they're stuck in a nursery.
Yes,
and then that is the last. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Give it up.
And the last sentence of the chapter is, maybe I can do the mountain on a rocking horse.
Yeah. So he's being super sarcastic, but right before he says that, he says, or rather, the observation is that Boxy and Muffet are now, like, kind of introduced to the kids, and they're playing just like in the episode. And you know, Boxy says, "Don't be afraid." You know, he's just a Daggett, and all the kids come around, and so that was kind of pretty much just like in the episode.
Yeah.
And then
that's where we'll end up before chapter 17. So at this point, you know, one of them's missing, right? And we probably, you know the show, so and they're going to Ravishaw. So the next chapter will cover the Ravishaw type thing, and we get we'll get to introduce to Mr. Ravishaw and hear what a wonderful person he is.
Yes, exactly.
He's all about peace. You know, he created the heck was it in 2 chapters ago they called it the pulsaric communications beam or something like that.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, Chris, we had a great intro to summer movies and some of our favorites from the past at Tiny Bean, her corner of IFB, and we had Will McDermott on. That was kind of cool, telling us all about his stuff.
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
You know, some of the techniques. He gave us some really cool stuff and insights on writing and getting into the characters, which is kind of cool.
Kind of gave us a little bit of a scoop in regards to his next and what it may be about, and
looking forward to that.
Yep.
Clay Arden says the Mormon space laser.
That's not what they called it. That's not what they called it.
It was a lot of fun. Everything from our guests, everybody that joined us. I think we had a really good show tonight, and
we had internet connection tonight, so it's really, really good.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll find out next week how well that works, because I'm off to look at another base star.
You're
in
off
Dallas
again, man. Traveling all over the place.
Yeah, next week will be the Dallas and Oklahoma City base stars I will be checking out.
Wow. All right. Maybe we get to pick up those missing comics that you need. And Sean, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I think the show's good, and you guys all make it better. So thanks for being with us. And, we love having you on board. Keep clicking the thumbs up and keep visiting. Hopefully we'll meet you guys at the shows that we're going to be at. And, we're on YouTube, and, we do the Twitter. Of course, we're on Facebook. And if you want to contact us, it's info@interfleetbroadcasting.com. From me, it's stay safe and see you at our next show. Please keep the faith. Fans, fuel the fleet. We really mean it. John and George and Lola and Rob and everybody else that joined us, Mediocre Modeler. Looking forward to seeing your next video as well. And Scott and, Deborah, Ann, thanks for tuning in. Linda, Will, we had a great interview. Just Razor Ramon, Jeff Anthony, George, everybody that tuned in, guys. Karen, thank you so much. Without you guys, it wouldn't be the same. So,
we
looking
really
forward
appreciate
to the
it.
next show. Yeah.
Yep. We really appreciate it. Y'all, keep coming back. We'll come. Oh, we have to drop you back off at Earth right now. So we only get close to Earth on Thursdays, enough for communications to get to you. So we'll drop off again. We're getting farther away from Earth, and we'll have to stop transmitting. But catch us out next week. We'll be back here, same Bat channel, same Bat place, or same Battlestar channel, same Battlestar place, or same Coal Shack, whatever place. I don't know. What is it?
Independent News Service.
Yeah, that's it. Independent News Service and Coal Shack. We'll talk to him, see if he's available next week. But thanks for everything. Thanks for joining us. You feel the fleet. You are awesome, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.